All right, after I've entered the tractor using 3 points of contact, I will start with my safety equipment. Starting with my seat belt, I'll make sure it's properly mounted and secured at all 3 points of contact. Nothing's cracked, bent, or broken. My belt's not worn, torn, or frayed. It latches and unlatches properly. Now go ahead and latch that back. Moving on to my properly rated and fully charged fire extinguisher. I'll make sure it's properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. The pin should be in place and it's not leaking. Next, I'll check my 3 red reflective triangles. I'll make sure there's not cracked, bent, or broken. They reflect light properly and they can stand on their own. And lastly, I'll check for my spare fuses, wherever my spare fuses are stored. After I've checked my safety equipment, I will then perform a safe start. Stick my key in the ignition, turn it to the on position, waiting for my ABS light and my DEF light to illuminate and go back off within 90 seconds. After they go off, we'll go ahead and start the vehicle. All right, I started my vehicle. I'm going to allow my air pressure to build. I'll go ahead and check the other items in my tractor here. Starting with my side mirrors, I'll make sure they're properly mounted and secured. Nothing's cracked, bent, or broken. The glasses are clean. There's no obstructions, no illegal stickers, and they're properly adjusted. Next, I'll check my windshield. I'll make sure it's properly mounted and secured. Nothing's cracked, bent, or broken. There's no illegal stickers or obstructions, and my seal is intact and not leaking. Next, I'll check my windshield wipers. I'll make sure they're properly mounted and secured. Nothing's cracked, bent, or broken. My blades have no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. No dry rot. They're pressed firmly against the windshield, and my washers are spraying properly. All right, now I'm going to come to my steering wheel here. I'll make sure my steering wheel is properly mounted and secured, not cracked, bent, or broken. No excessive play, no more than 2 inches or 10 degrees. I'll check my city horn, my air horn, make sure they're both working properly. Next, I'm going to go down and check my indicators. I have a left signal, right signal, 4-way flash. Turn my headlights on there and check my high beam. All of those are working properly. All right, next I'm going to check my gauges here. Specifically my oil pressure, my water temperature, and my voltmeter. My oil pressure, water temperature, and my voltmeter. They should all rise to the proper operating level. More specifically, my oil pressure should be between 30 and 60 psi. My water temperature should rise between 180 and 190 degrees. And my voltmeter should read between 12 and 14 volts. The last couple of gauges I'll check are my primary and my secondary air pressure supply. I'll make sure that they both rise to the proper operating level between 120 and 140 psi. And at that time, my governor should cut out. Next, I'll check my heat and defrost. Go ahead and crank that up. Make sure you come around to our defrost with an arrow pointing down to the floor. And I'll check my defrost up top and my heat down low. Make sure they're both working properly. All right, after our heat and defrost, I will now perform a tug test. Simply put, this is my tractor brake, this is my trailer brake. Whichever one is still pulled out, that's the one that we're tugging against. So to start, I'll press in my tractor brake, put my tractor in gear, gently press on my accelerator, and you should feel a slight tug on my trailer. Just like so. Move that brake back to neutral. And now we're going to flip it. I'm going to press in my trailer brake. Put my tractor in gear. Gently press on my accelerator and you should feel a slight tug against my tractor. Just like so. Pull that brake back to neutral. All right, after my tug test, I will now perform a service brake test. I'll press in both valves, put my tractor in gear. I want to pull forward at approximately 2 to 5 miles per hour. And what we're looking for is making sure our tractor and trailer are coming to a smooth stop and my steering wheel is not veering to either side. Just like so. Back to neutral. Pull both valves. When we're doing our tug test and our service brake test, you're going to lose air pressure. So after we get done with our service brake test, we'll go ahead and build our air pressure up until the governor cuts out, because you want to make sure you have as much air as you can possibly have to complete your air brakes test. So we'll go ahead and build our air pressure up. Our governor just cut out. So now I'm going to turn my vehicle off. I'm going to take my key with me. I'm going to get out the tractor using 3 points of contact, and I will be sure to close my door behind me. All right, I'm out to chalk my wheels. We're going to chalk our wheels between the second and third axle. And we're going to get back in our tractor to start our air brakes test. All right, I've safely re-entered my tractor. From here on out, you cannot miss anything. It has to be 100%. So starting off, first thing I'll do is put my seatbelt back on. I'll put my key in the ignition, turn it to the on position, and then I'm going to press in both valves to allow my air pressure to settle. All right, my air has settled, so I'm going to start off with a leaks test. I'm going to firmly press my foot on my brake for 1 minute, and I should not lose more than 4 psi in that 1 minute. Starting now. All right, 1 minute is up. I did not lose more than 4 psi. All right, moving on. Now I'm going to fan my brakes down to around 60 psi. And at that point, both my primary and secondary low air warning lights and buzzers should come on. All right, my low air warning lights and buzzer have come on. Moving on, I'm going to continue fanning my brakes down to around 20 to 40 psi. And at that time, both of my valves should pop out. Both of my valves just popped out. It was a successful test. This concludes my in-cab inspection and my air brakes test. Now I'll go ahead and crank up my vehicle and build my air pressure back up.